Hey guys, it's MJ, and today let's take a closer look at the Nine of Swords. And this is a very heavy energy, right? It comes with feeling anxious. It comes with that anxiety, did you do everything you could at the moment, and you can't stop worrying if you could have done more, right? Especially like when I think about like everything going on right now, especially if you have older relatives, there's that anxiety of like, am I doing the best I can for them, right? And so these are the kind of feelings that will wake you up at 3 in the morning, and you may have been fine all night, had a great time with your friends, went out to dinner, and then at 3 in the morning it's like, zam, there it is, and it pops in your head and you're up, and that's all you can focus on. So unlike, say, the 3 of Swords and the 10 of Swords, where somebody else is inflicting the sorrow upon you, this is where the call is coming from inside the house. It's your brain that's constructing these scenarios, your brain that is challenging you and criticizing you to the point where you worry if you're not doing everything that you could, or that you're not living up to your highest potential, or you're worrying if things that you should have done 3 days ago didn't get done, and now you're going to pay the consequences, or for that kind of stuff. And that can create a sense of anguish from within, that worry that is so deep. It's not just like worrying like, oh, well, I need to get my tires filled. It's that, oh my God, we're going on a long vacation tomorrow and the car is going to spin out, or I'm going to, bust a tire and we're going to get into a car accident. It's that kind of thing, right? It's to the next level, right? It's that stress that comes only, I feel like, at 3 in the morning, where your mind just really begins to play tricks on you. So let's take a look at how the Rider-Waite-Smith deck approaches this energy, and I'll show you how the Crow Tarot, the Wise Dog, and the Grimalkin deck, look at this energy as well, and how the imagery is different in some areas and where it's similar in others. So let's dive right in, okay? So here we have the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, and you can see right away it's a nighttime scene. This figure is up and their hands are over their face. And I mean, that right there, I feel like that's an international sign for sorrow, right? For feeling stress. You don't want to see what's going on. You just want to bury your hands, your face in your hands. And so you can tell right away this person is really feeling, they're experiencing a sense of dread, or of anxiety. I feel like with anxiety, it's almost like a critter that comes in your house at night if you leave the window open. So for me, when I go to bed, I try to just make sure that I close that window before I go to sleep, so that I'm not woken up at 3 in the morning with stress. And so here we have this person who woke up. He's very stressed out. We have the swords here creating almost a barrier, and there's a heaviness to those swords. So to me, when I see this card, the initial energy I feel when I read this card is heavy. There's a sense of dread, there's a sense of worry, something that you almost can't pull yourself up and out of because it's just so dense. You know what I mean? And so we have here this quilt, and this quilt has all the little pictures on it here, all the, it looks like they're little zodiac signs, and so to me that could be time, it could be events that all sort of, gather together in your mind to create a sense of worry, to create a sense of dread. Here we have 2 figures that look like they're fighting, and so that could be, your own, it's like those feelings within your head that just sort of fight against each other, where your rational mind and your irrational mind are duking it out. And you may say, well, I can fill the air and the tires in the morning before we go on that vacation. That's the rational mind, speaking. But then your irrational mind will say, well, you're going to probably forget, or it might not matter. You might get into a car accident before you even get to the place to fill the tires up. You know what I mean? It's that back and forth that you have where you battle yourself. And so, there's also here this darkness, the darkness behind the swords, which to me, when I see that, it's just that is where ideas go to play. That's where ideas grow. And in this case, they're growing in a negative way. They're growing because there's so much space to evolve. So it may just be one small detail that you forgot to manage or to do, and then all of a sudden it just sort of just spirals out of control. And in that darkness, you don't know, there's so much uncertainty to where that spiral will lead you. And that's a sense of, and that's what's going to bring you that sense of anxiety. So here with the Crow Tarot, we have this crow in its nest. And again, I took the dueling figures from the Rider-Waite-Smith deck and I put them up on the swords here. And I added the moon, and there is that darkness. And the moon here in this case is that intuition. It's that very much like the energy of the moon, where you start constructing scenarios that may not necessarily be true. It's where your creative mind goes into overdrive, but not so much in a pleasant way, but more in a destructive way, where it distorts reality. You know, if you're worried about something, say you sent off an email to your boss, and you focus on all the ways that you could have made that email better, or all the things that you said in that email that maybe weren't so accurate, and there's that fear of perhaps being fired, right? That all of a sudden becomes magnified in the light of the moon. And so that's what I have here with this moon, and it's the clouds coming in. It just really just reinforces that sense of uncertainty. There's a lack of clarity when we see this card in respect to the Crow Tarot, because the feelings that you're experiencing at 3 in the morning, what you're focusing on, may not be what other people are experiencing in reality. Your reality at 3 o'clock in the morning may be very different than that of, say, your boss or your partner or whoever you're worried about in respect to how your actions impact them. This is where you may be sitting up in bed saying, oh my God, why did I send that email? Why didn't I wait? Why didn't I proofread it? Or why did I buy this, whatever it is, that house, and now I can't get out of it? It's like that stuff where you just focus on, and you really don't see the solution at 3 in the morning. All you're going to focus on is on how it's going to negatively impact your life. So here with the wise dog, again, we have the two, the white cat and the black cat. And that to me was the dueling energy here of the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, where they're fighting each other. And things aren't so maybe black and white, but in your mind, it is so very black and white. At 3 in the morning, you're not able to see the nuances, perhaps, of a situation, because you're so consumed by catastrophizing whatever event that's waking you up at 3 in the morning. Here we have the red carpet where this dog is laying on, and you can almost feel the heaviness of the swords on this poor dog, keeping it down. It's keeping that dog from really fully understanding its situation, because it's basically the thoughts that are running through this poor dog's mind are diluted, or they're it's almost like it's delusional as in respect here with the moon. It's that, again, having our fears illuminated in such a way that they're distorted, not diluted, they're distorted. So again, we have the clouds here, like the Crow Tarot, again, creating a sense of uncertainty, not being able to see clearly, not being able to get a clear picture for what's going on, because you're so wrapped up in your own thoughts on this. It's like you're not able to get a different perspective. So, and then we have the Grimalkin Tarot, and very similarly here we have the swords, and I did these swords a little bit differently. They created almost like a step pattern, and in this case, yes, we have the moon, yes, we have the clouds. What's coming through the window is this black cat that almost has almost like a demonic presence to it. It's creating a sense of suffering for this cat that's awake now. And you can feel there's a heaviness here as well. It's like a sense of depression, where this cat is looking at what it is, perhaps feeling guilty for the things it did during the day. Maybe it killed some songbirds, and it's unable to accept the fact that what it did was just part of its nature. It is what it is, right? And it's not that the cat is bad. The cat is just behaving as it should behave. You know, that's what they do. Although would prefer the cats to not kill the songbirds, but that's a whole other discussion, and that's a whole other can of worms. So, but this cat got outside, it did what its instincts told it, and now at 3 in the morning, it's feeling guilty. It's feeling pressure, it's feeling criticized, and it can't let it go. And it's allowing this sense of dread and anxiety to come in, you know, is where it has to face the hard truth for, you know, what it did, and accept the fact that what it did may have had some consequences, but it can't forgive himself, right? That's how I kind of get when I see this Nine of Swords, is that it's unable to forgive himself or herself for the actions of the day. And because of that, it's now up at 3 in the morning or 2 in the morning, whatever. So there's a lot of regret with the Nine of Wands, or Nine of Swords rather. There's, you know, a lot of anxious feelings that keep you second guessing yourself and wondering if, you know, you're doing everything that you can. It's also keeping you focused on things that you've maybe done in error, you know, or things that you didn't do, and as a result, you know, you're blaming yourself for the consequences. And instead of being able to see a solution here with this Nine of Swords, what it's doing is keeping you down. It's keeping you focused on all the negative stuff, the gunk that comes with you know, obsessing really over things that are in the past. You can't change them. All you can do is move forward or rectify in the morning. You know, there's nothing worse than waking up at 3 in the morning and knowing that you have to take care of something and not being able to do it. And then you just start, it just spirals out of control. Like all the things that then it's like, oh my God, well, if I should have done this and I should have done that. And before long, it's like you're wide awake. And the worst part is you can't do anything. So you have to wait for, you know, whether it be to get into the office, or for the car, you know, the repair shop to open up, for whatever it is, you know, you have to wait. And that's when I see with these swords that heaviness is like keeping you down, but it's also filling your mind with lots and lots and lots of thoughts that aren't productive at that time, right? Now, of course, you know, there is one thing that the Nine of Swords can do. For some of us, if you do wake up at 3 in the morning and you remember, oh my God, I forgot to send off that email and I need to do that. Of course, the email is open 24 hours, but there are things that need to be addressed. So if I find myself waking up at 3 in the morning and I'm focusing on something, you know, for example, a bill I have to pay, right? And I know, like, if I don't pay that bill in time, I'm going to get dinged. And, you know, sometimes the Nine of Swords is a beneficial card for the little things. But if you allow it to keep you stuck, when you see this card in a reading, right? When you see this card come up in a reading, you really want to ask yourself, hey, am I using this card as a positive reminder of things I really need to do before I end up getting up at 3 in the morning, stressed out and unable to, you know, get a grip on my anxiety? You know, am I allowing this as a gentle, you know, reminder, or is it going to become something where, you know, you lose sleep, or you don't get to experience joy in your life because you're so focused on feeling guilty, or feeling as though you're not good enough, right? Or feeling as though everything that you touch isn't working well, right? Or that you're just, I don't know, that it's just like how you just get all worked up, you know what I mean? Where you just get in your own head, and then you start getting in your own way. So when you see this in a reading, you know, you can ask yourself that, you know, like, hey, am I getting my own way here, or am I allowing a little bit of anxiety to spark action? You know, I think there's that fine line here where you see like, oh, well, if I need to do this, I should do this now. But if it's something that wakes you up at 3 in the morning and you're not getting up out of bed and all you're doing is catastrophizing, then you know that what you've got here is an energy that really has its hooks in you. And so when I see this in a reading, that's my first thought is like, hey, how often are you waking up at 3 in the morning? You know, how often are you stressed out about something? Or, you know, what's your self-talk? Is your self-talk that you're not good enough? Is your self-talk that you're worried that your job is in jeopardy? You know, or is your self-talk, oh my God, shit, I gotta pay that bill. I'm gonna get to that first thing in the morning, right? So there's some healthy anxiety and there's unhealthy anxiety. And again, when you see this in a reading, that's the question I think that really is most important. Is this healthy anxiety or is this unhealthy anxiety? Because unhealthy anxiety is going to keep you really feeling weighted down, right? You're not going to be able to get yourself up and out of these swords when you allow that negative, just heaviness of self-doubt and just constantly, you know, criticizing yourself, belittling yourself. That's what I see when I see the Nine of Swords. You know, it's that constant inner critic, you know? So anyway, I hope this makes sense with the Nine of Swords. Feel free to ask questions in the comments below. And yeah, let's check in next time with the Nine of Wands. So bye, and I'll see you later.